Allah Azza wa Jal continues the subject after the description of Jannah yesterday, back to the Quran. The ayah before was actually about the Quran also, and Allah Azza wa Jal had given the challenge, إِن كُنتُم فِي رَيْبٍ مِّمَّا نَزَّلْنَا عَلَىٰ عَبْدِنَا فَأْتُوا بِسُورَةٍ مِّن مِثْلِهِ. If you're in any doubt about what we've sent down on our slave, then produce anything of its like, anywhere near remotely of its like, or its likeness. وَادْعُوا شُهَدَاءَكُم مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ. Now, on the one hand, the challenge was, you can't produce anything like the Quran. But just because they couldn't produce anything like it, and they couldn't come up with an alternative, doesn't mean that they're going to stop attacking the religion. So if you can't provide an alternative, the only thing left for you to do is now attack what they have. Criticize what they have. Yeah, fine, I won't meet the challenge, but come on, it's got so many problems. So actually you'll find this second tier still existing today. And what's that second tier? Well, we can't produce something like the Quran, so let's just keep on criticizing it, finding things in it that we can poke fun at, or say, how does this make any sense? How does that make any sense? That mentality still exists to this day. One more thing to say, actually, in recent times, actually, this happened, in my experience, this happened when I was a college student, and I was just starting to learn some Arabic, and I remember, this is so old, this is when the internet was new. So this is like back when GeoCities pages were popular, for some of you who remember, right? And then somebody some university students at Georgetown University put up a web page that said, because Georgetown has an Arabic program, a bachelor's degree in Arabic, a master's, and a PhD in Arabic. These were master's level students of the Arabic language. And they said, as our class project, we produced a surah like the Quran. And they put it up on GeoCities. It was an Uthmani script. Everything rhymed. It looked like the Mus'haf. And it read like the Mus'haf. And they said, look, we produced a surah like the Quran. And, then there have been other attempts. People have done this and said, okay, look, the Quran issued a challenge. And here it is. My response to the challenge. Here's a surah. And then they have several people come along, other professors, other colleagues, other students, who are their shuhada min dunillah, who say, yeah, it is like the Quran. So Allah said, produce something like the Quran and call your witnesses. So they said, okay, here's something like the Quran and we've got our witnesses. So done deal. So that's their idea. Now, the problem is the Quran did not reduce its challenge to one thing. Produce something in Arabic. Produce something that matches its style. Produce something that uniquely matches it in context. The Quran is unmatchable from so many different angles all at the same time, that it actually becomes impossible for humanity to replace. Rasulullah ﷺ is bringing about a change in this society. Is there any outside influence? Are there foreign invasions and new culture coming in and invading? No. It's just this man with an invisible delivery of the Quran, right? Now what happens in these 23 years? There are people that change not just the way they eat, but also the way they sleep, but also the way they wake up, but also the way they clean themselves, but also the way they get married, but also the way they get divorced, the way they love, the way they hate, the way they raise their eyes, the way they lower their eyes, the way they lower their voices, the way they raise their voices, who their friends are, who their enemies. Everything changed in 23 years. Culturally, socially, spiritually, economically, politically. There is not one facet of human life for these people who believed in the Prophet ﷺ that it didn't change. And in 23 years, this society changes in every imaginable way. Allah Azza wa Jalla says about just the words of Allah, He compares them to the ocean. قُلْ لَوْ كَانَ الْبَحْرُ مِدَادًا لِكَلِمَاتِ رَبِّي لَنَفِدَ الْبَحْرُ قَبْلَ أَن تَنْفَدَ كَلِمَاتُ رَبِّي وَلَوْ جِئْنَا بِمِثْلِهِ مَدَدًا. That if the oceans were turned into ink to appreciate for the purpose of the words of my master, if you were to just try to appreciate the words of Allah with ink that was the worth of oceans, you wouldn't be able to find enough ink. And the words of Allah would still remain unappreciated. You wouldn't be able to encompass it. That's the challenge of Quran. So it wasn't met and it will not be met. That is our iman. On the other hand, criticism against the Quran will always be there. The challenge is one thing. It's impossible to meet. Well, if that's impossible, well, at least now you're upset. So when you're upset, of course, you're going to find something to complain about. Something to pick at. Oh, there are so many contradictions in the Quran. Doesn't even make sense. It says this and it says that. And there's going to be all this kind of talk, right? And Allah Azza wa Jal preempts it in the surah. He says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَسْتَحِي. No doubt about it. It is in fact Allah. He is not ashamed. أَنْ يَضْرِبَ مَثَلًا. Ma. To give an example. Arabic students know that the word mathal is nakira. مثلا, when you add ma, it actually makes it even more. This is ma al-ibhamiyya. This is actually making it even more ambiguous. Any kind of example whatsoever. Whatsoever. In Arabic expression, back in the day and even today, if somebody says, man, I'm hungry, give me some food. What do you want to eat? Shay'an ma. Just give me something, man. Anything, I don't care. It's all, doesn't matter, just let me eat. This is ma. In other words, Allah says, Allah has no embarrassment. He has no hesitation in dropping whatever example, in striking an example of any kind whatsoever. This is actually an educational principle in the Book of Allah. And from it, we learn educational philosophy. In order to get the point across, you have to get out of your comfort zone, and you can't be formal. When you think about the benefit of the student, you have to talk to the student at a level that the student will understand. You shouldn't just talk in high language with big words and, to impress somebody of how much you know and how much exhaustive vocabulary you have and how many books you can quote. That's not teaching. You're just trying to impress someone with how much you know. Teaching is when you talk to people in a way they can actually learn. Allah Azza wa Jalla, let me guarantee you, has better vocabulary than all of us. He has a more sophisticated knowledge of science than any scientist. He has more sophisticated, deeper understanding of the nuances of the unseen and the seen and Iman than any of us. But Allah chooses, subhanahu wa ta'ala, to talk in language, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنِ لِلذِّكْرِ. He made the Qur'an easy. Sometimes you read a book on aqidah. Or you get into, for example, the ayat are coming later. فَسَوَّاهُنَّ سَبْعَ سَمَوَاتٍ ثُمَّ اسْتَوَى عَلَى الْعَرْشِ الاستواء على العرش. You study tafsir of this ayah. You read the Mu'tazilis and the Maturidis, and you read Imam Razi, and you read Ruh al-Ma'ani, al-Alusi, and you're reading pages and pages and pages of what does it mean, and it's so abstract, you want to pull your hair out. And Allah, when He speaks, He's so straightforward, simple, no complications. Study a philosophy text. College students have taken philosophy classes before. How much fun is it to read a philosophy essay? You just bang your head on a table. What is he saying? Going around in abstract circles. But Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal could have made it, because what they do, by the way. PhD papers, academics, scholars, they actually purposely make their papers more difficult because that's their way of showing off how academic they are. How sophisticated they are, using big vocabulary even when they don't need to, And this notion is actually something shattered in the Quran. Allah is not ashamed to give any example.